How's it going, boys? Johnny Superbman here, and it's time for another episode of Questions with Superbman. That's right, boys. It's been about a week since the last video, and there's been a ton of new topics in the NHL, a lot of great questions. So let's get started. I mean, it's going to be a good Saturday. I got a Leaf game tonight. I'm going to the Air Canada Centre to see the Leafs play the New York Rangers. So before I get ready to go to that, let's pop out a nice little Questions with Superbman video. And first, this question didn't really come in from any one person specifically, but the Mike Camilleri, Rene Bourque trade. What are my opinions on it? Okay, so first I'll break it down for you guys what the trade was exactly. From Montreal, they sent to Calgary Mike Camilleri, Kerry Ramo, who's a goaltender. He used to play for the Tampa Bay Lightning, and a fifth-round pick in this year's draft. So Montreal gave up their fifth-round pick, Mike Camilleri and Kerry Ramo, okay? And in return, from Calgary, they got Rene Bourque, Patrick Holland, who's a 20-year-old prospect. He only went 193rd overall, so nothing spectacular there, but still 20 years old. You can build on him. And a second-round pick in next year's draft, the 2013. Okay, so both teams giving up two players and a draft. So first, I'm looking on this because I did a whole setup for this. I got the sheet of paper in front of me. I did a whole setup. If I'm looking at this on paper, I have to give the nod to the Montreal Canadiens. I think they got the better end of this deal. Now, hang on, Calgary. Hang on. I'm not saying that you guys didn't get anything here, but let's read the facts out here. Mike Camilleri, all right? Mike Camilleri is 29 years old. He's not the youngest guy anymore. He's got 3 years left on his current contract, if you include this year, so 2.5 years basically. But he's got a $6 million cap hit, okay? $6 million cap hit. That's nothing to laugh at. I mean, that's higher than most players in the NHL. And I thought the Calgary Flames might be a rebuilding team this year. That proves that they are trying to make the playoffs. $6 million cap hit in a 29-year-old for 3 more years, right? That's going to be $6 million hurting their team for the next 2 years after this year as well, okay? So that's a big dump off for the Montreal Canadiens, and that's really what I think it was. Everyone heard about the Mike Camilleri, talking to the media, putting his team down, saying things like, we don't practice like a winning team, we practice like a losing team, all this good stuff. He didn't really say anything too bad, but still, once you're on camera, you keep your mouth shut. That's why you see hockey players do the interviews they kind of do, because you really got to watch out what you say, because as soon as you say something, it's all over YouTube, it's all over NHL.com, it's all over the news, it's all over TV, it's all over everywhere, okay? And he said some things that, you know what, Montreal, they're just having a bad year. Their coaching problems. They fired their other Jacques Martin, I believe. They're not a winning team now. Mike Camilleri, it's just everything's going wrong for them. So, and they said that the trade was already in the works, but I think this was the final nail in the coffin. That little interview. Now, for Calgary, it's interesting because you're getting Mike Camilleri back. And you only had him for 1 year. You guys got him from the Los Angeles Kings. But when he came and played for you guys, he had, over 80 points? He had 39 goals, all right? I mean, and that was only 3 years ago. He was only 26, 27, so not that long ago. So, yeah, he can still make it happen. And that's why his cap hit is so high, all right? Because I think he re-signed, I think it was an unrestricted free agent, and he signed with the Montreal Canadiens for that much. So, for Montreal, I think it's a good trade because Montreal, they get Rene Bourque back, who's 30 years old. He's 1 year older than Camilleri. It's pretty much the same player. I mean, Camilleri is more of a sniper, offensively minded, but you're getting Rene Bourque, who's got 5 years left on his contract, 4.5 years left, but only at $3.333 mil, okay? Just over $3 million. That's a big difference than a $6 million cap. So they got Rene Bourque back, and now they can go out with $3 million extra to try and get another player. So that's what I think it was. And Camilleri, he really hasn't been producing in Montreal. I'm not saying that he's not talented. I'm sure he still has it in him, right? But since he's been playing in Montreal, he's never had a full season. Injuries, he's always had like 65, 67 games, all right? And last year, actually, I don't have that stat in front of me, but I think last year he didn't get over 25 goals. He might not even had a 20-goal season, but I know for a fact he didn't have over 25 goals. So he's a good player, but at $6 million a year for 2 more years after this year, I really don't think he's that good. And Calgary, they also traded away a second-round pick in next year's draft. I mean, they're not the greatest team this year, and you might think that next year they're going to be even worse. So Montreal dumped some salary. They picked up a second-round pick from a team who might not make the playoffs next year. They picked up Patrick Holland, who went 193rd overall. Fine, that's just icing on the cake. They got rid of Kerry Romo, who is a backup who they're not going to use, and a fifth-round pick. So I really think that Montreal got the better end of this deal, boys. Absolutely. I mean, Rene Bourque, he's pretty much a 30-goal scorer. He's almost had 30 goals in a couple seasons with Calgary. So on paper, I mean, Camilleri hasn't been a point producer. He hasn't produced that much more than Rene Bourque, and he's $3 million more. So I really think that Montreal got the better end of this deal for what situation they're in. Salary cap dump. Rene Bourque is still someone you can trade for a first-round pick, second-round pick, closer to the deadline. They pick up a draft pick as well, and they dump salary. Very good for Montreal. And Calgary, I hope that he works out for you guys, but I don't know. And this is actually a perfect segue for our second question. It comes to us from Sir Africaf. Johnny, do you think the Calgary Flames should trade away their stars like Iginla and Kiprusoff? Yes, I do. Absolutely. They need to go into rebuilding mode. But here's the thing. Iginla might be one of those players who never gets traded from Calgary. They love him there. He's great for the community. He everything off the ice you want in a captain, he provides it. So he's a great player. He still has some years ahead of him. And with this trade for Camilleri, they tell me that they're not a selling team. They're not going for rebuilding, at least not this year. They're going to try and make the playoffs. By picking up Mike Camilleri, they have told the league and everybody and their team that they are going to try and make the playoffs this year. Okay, so thank you for that question, Sir Africaf, but I don't think that they're going to trade away their stars. I think Iginla, Kipper, Camilleri are all going to be on the Flames by the end of the season. I think they should rebuild, but they won't. Okay, so you know what? We have enough time for one more question, and this one comes to us from Patrick Waugh 30. And he wasn't the only one to ask this, but this question had a lot of thumbs up. Johnny, what's your opinion on the Brad Marchand hit on Sammy Salo? Okay. So Brad Marchand, he went low. He hit Sammy Salo low in that game against Boston, Vancouver. You know, you got to expect that game had a lot of high tensions. You know, two teams that will face each other in the Stanley Cup Finals for the first time this year, facing off. Brad Marchand got suspended 5 games. I watched the hit. I see both sides of it. I mean, you say clipping because you say he shouldn't. It should be legal because he's very small. So when he goes down for a hip check, it's even lower. Yeah, but I'll give you guys a perfect example. After this video, I'm going to provide you 2 links in the description. One link to Brendan Shanahan telling us why it was an illegal hit, and a second hit is from a while back. It's Steve Yzerman low bridging Chris Pronger. Basically, the exact same thing happened. But here's the thing. I'm going to read you Rule 44. This is the Rule 44. This is clipping, okay? This is how the NHL defines clipping. Clipping is the act of throwing the body from any direction across or below the knees of an opponent. A player may not deliver a check in a clipping manner, nor lower his position to deliver a check on or below an opponent's knees. Okay, so in the Shanahan video, it's perfect because it shows you that Marchand and Salo went into the corner, right, 16 seconds before the actual hit, and they went shoulder to shoulder. A nice hockey play against the boards, just fighting for the puck, right? They jostled for position, you know, frustration set in. You could see them pushing and shoving each other. The play develops, it goes back into the center. The puck comes back into the corner. They go back in the exact same way, and this time Brad Marchand low bridges him. He clips him. Now, I have to agree. This is a suspendable offense. I'm not going to comment on how many games, but this was clipping, all right? Everyone's talking about headshots, how it can end careers with concussions. Well, guess what? Leg injuries can just as well end careers for players. Yeah, you might not have the headaches, but ask anyone who's had a knee injury. It slows you down. Ask anyone who's played hockey who's had some sort of lower body injury. Unless you fully recover from it, it always slows you down. So Sammy Salo got injured off of this. Now, if you watch it, Sammy Salo's not charging Marchand. He's not coming in to kill Marchand. He's going in. Sammy Salo does not have the reputation of being a goon out there, okay? Marchand goes in, and he initiates the hit. He didn't try to turn away because he thought he was going to get killed. He saw the play developing. He knew Salo was going in there. He was going in. I guarantee you he made up his mind he was low bridging him a good second before it happened, okay? It was not instinctive. He wanted to do that. And I understand. He wanted to deliver a big hit. He did. Sadly, Sammy Salo got injured on the play, which I think contributed to his five-game suspension. But I think it was a dirty hit, boys. You can't be clipping someone that low. A hip check and a clip are two different things. When you hip check somebody, you have them up against the boards, or if they're in the open ice, they're jumping over you. So when you lower your body, you're not bending your knees that much. You're just bending over, okay? That's all. You don't bend your knees. You're just bending over. So when he tries to jump to the side of you or tries to jump over you, tries to get out of the way, that's when he goes flying over you. And it works better when you're against the boards because he has nowhere to go. All right, that's a hip check. When you clip somebody is when you go lower than their knees. As Rule 44 says, you cannot check somebody across or below the knees. And that's what Brad Marchand did. He did not hip check the guy. He clipped him, okay? He went as low as he could go and he attacked Sammy Salo's knees. Not cool. Not cool whatsoever. So in the description, there are 2 videos, Brad Marchand's hit, and then I want you to look at Steve Yzerman's hit on Chris Pronger, okay? Now, this is a perfect example. This hit was not illegal. Yzerman did not get suspended from this. This is a perfect example of defending yourself, okay? Yzerman gets the puck on the boards. He chips the puck in. He turns. He sees Pronger not running at him, but he's coming to kill him, okay? And it's Chris Pronger, a lot bigger. What does Stevie Y does? He turns his body, bends over, and delivers a clipping-like hit. He didn't go as low as Marchand, but you can argue it's the same kind of hit. Pronger injured after that. And the St. Louis Blues got eliminated from the playoffs. So go look at the 2 hits, compare them both, all right? I want your opinions, I want your comments. But in my opinion, Patrick Waugh 30, I think the Brad Marchand hit was a dirty hit, a suspendable offense. I'm not going to comment on the amount of games, but yes, it was a suspendable offense. And the Steve Yzerman hit on Chris Pronger was a fair hit, okay? So I want your guys' opinion, I want your comments, and I want more questions for Questions with Superbman for next week. All right, boys? So for Johnny Superbman and the Great Domsky, take it easy, boys, and we'll see you next time.